The mansion stood tall, its marble walls glowing faintly in the evening light. To anyone on the outside, it was a picture of perfection, a palace where nothing could go wrong, where wealth and luxury softened every corner of existence. But behind the grand gates and glittering chandeliers, secrets breathed in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to surface. Adrien Cross, the billionaire CEO known across industries for his sharp decisions and relentless work ethic, was supposed to be away on business for another week. His staff believed he was in Europe, finalizing a merger. Even his family thought the same. But the truth was, Adrien had felt something gnawing at him, a quiet voice inside that told him to come home early. He couldn't explain it, but the thought of his home and family tugged at him until he canceled the rest of his meetings and boarded his private jet back. The town car pulled up to the driveway silently, its tires whispering against the cobblestone path. Adrien stepped out, dressed simply in a black coat and crisp shirt, carrying nothing but a small leather bag. The house was alive with faint light seeping from the windows, soft laughter echoing faintly in the night air. Strange. His wife rarely hosted gatherings when he was away. He frowned but dismissed it, expecting maybe his children had friends over. The butler, startled at his arrival, rushed forward. "Mr. Cross, we weren't expecting you." Adrien waved him off. "No need for announcements, I'll walk in myself." He wanted to surprise them, to walk in casually, maybe catch his children in the middle of a board game or his wife reading by the fireplace. For a man who lived most of his life in boardrooms and conference calls, he longed for a piece of normalcy. But as he stepped inside, the scene that unfolded before him was anything but ordinary. From the grand hallway, he could see into the living room. His two children, Emily and Noah, sat on the floor, laughing as the maid, Clara, held up sock puppets and made them dance. They clapped and giggled, their faces shining with the kind of joy Adrien hadn't seen in months. Clara's eyes glowed with warmth as she acted out silly voices, completely immersed in their world. But what truly stopped Adrien in his tracks wasn't the puppets or the laughter, it was his wife. Isabella Cross, elegant as always, sat on the couch watching them, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her hand was pressed to her mouth as though holding in something too heavy to release. Adrien froze, his chest tightening. Why was she crying? And why did this feel like a family moment he didn't belong to? He took a step forward, and the sound of his shoes against the marble made everyone turn. Emily's eyes widened, and then she shrieked, "Daddy!" rushing to him with arms wide open. Noah followed, their little feet pattering against the floor as they collided into his legs. "Daddy, you're home early," Emily squealed. "We missed you so much." Adrien knelt, hugging them tightly, inhaling the scent of their hair, the softness of their small bodies pressing against him. Guilt hit him like a tidal wave. How many moments like this had he missed? How many times had his children laughed and cried without him there to see? When he finally lifted his gaze, Isabella stood silently, her tears still falling, her expression unreadable. Clara, sensing the shift, quickly excused herself, bowing politely before disappearing into the kitchen. The room grew heavy with silence. "You're back," Isabella whispered, her voice trembling. "Yes," Adrien said, standing slowly. "I wanted to surprise you." He searched her eyes, but she avoided his gaze. "What's wrong?" he asked softly, walking closer. She shook her head, turning away, but her shoulders trembled. "Nothing, just seeing them so happy. It reminded me of what's missing." Her words stung. "What's missing?" She spun to face him then, her eyes fierce through the tears. "You, Adrien, you're always gone. You think building this empire gives us everything, but the truth is it's taken you away from us. Look at them." She pointed to the children who stood watching, confused and worried. "They light up when you're here, but most of the time they only see shadows of you in photos and phone calls." Adrien's throat tightened. He opened his mouth to defend himself, but the words caught. He had worked day and night to secure their future, to make sure they never knew the struggles he had faced growing up poor. But in doing so, had he stolen something irreplaceable? Bella, his voice cracked. I thought I was doing this for you, for them, for us. Her tears spilled harder now. We don't need a bigger house or more money, we just need you. The silence that followed was crushing. Adrien felt as though the walls themselves were closing in on him. He turned to look at his children again, Emily clutching Noah's hand, both staring at him with wide, searching eyes. He had never felt smaller in his life. That night, long after the children had gone to bed, Adrien sat with Isabella in the quiet of their room. The moonlight filtered through the sheer curtains, painting the walls in silver. Isabella's voice was softer now, almost broken. "Do you know why I cried tonight?" she asked, staring out the window. He shook his head. "Because Clara, she makes them laugh. She makes them feel seen. And I realized how much they crave what you used to give before the business swallowed you whole." She turned to him, her voice trembling. "I was scared, Adrien. Scared they'd start looking at someone else as their father figure. Scared they'd forget who you are." Her words shattered him. He reached for her hand, gripping it tightly. "I don't want them to forget. I don't want you to feel alone. I've lost sight of what matters, Bella, but I swear to you I'll change." She studied him for a long moment, pain and hope battling in her eyes. "Do you mean it? Because promises don't matter anymore. We've heard them before." Adrien leaned forward, his forehead resting against hers. "This isn't a promise, it's a decision. Tomorrow I'm canceling the rest of my travel plans. I'll delegate more. I'll be here, with you, with them. I don't want to be a ghost in my own home." For the first time that night, Isabella's lips curved into the faintest smile. Her hand tightened around his. "That's all I've ever wanted." The following weeks tested Adrien more than any business deal ever had. He woke early, not for meetings, but to make pancakes with Emily and Noah. He took them to school, stood on the sidelines at Noah's soccer practice, and let Emily paint his face during her tea parties. At first, the kids looked at him in disbelief, waiting for him to vanish into another trip. But slowly their laughter grew louder, their hugs tighter, their trust deeper. At work, he surprised his board members by delegating responsibilities he once guarded fiercely. For the first time, he allowed himself to breathe, to see beyond profit margins and quarterly reports. He realized that while his empire could be rebuilt if lost, the time with his family never could. One evening, as he tucked Emily into bed, she whispered sleepily, "Daddy, don't go away again, okay?" His chest ached as he kissed her forehead. "I'm not going anywhere, sweetheart. I'm right here." Down the hall, Isabella watched silently, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief and love. She had doubted him, feared his absence would break them for good. But seeing him now, present in every moment, reminded her why she had fallen in love with him in the first place, not for the billionaire, but for the man with a heart big enough to carry them all. Months later, Adrien stood once more in the grand hallway of his mansion, but this time there was no emptiness, no haunting silence. The air was alive with the sound of his children's laughter, the warmth of his wife's smile, and the quiet peace of knowing he had finally come home, not just physically but with his heart. And as he wrapped his arms around them, he realized something wealth had never taught him. The richest man in the world is not the one with the largest empire, but the one who comes home to love that waits and never wavers.